It's as much fun watching it the third time as it was the first time.
That's 100%.
That was our new intro. We can still say that. It's our new intro.
Yeah. It's new for at least 3 months.
Yeah. As long as it makes us giggle.
That's right.
That's the point, right? Spreading joy.
Some good moments in there.
And happiness here on Lancaster Connects. That's the mission on the mission of the mission. Something like that. Yep. So we're back. Hope you had a great 4th of July holiday. I'm not afraid to say it. I started rewatching the John Adams HBO series over the 4th. And
That's
I
cool.
happened to catch on the evening of the 4th, the 3rd episode, which is where they swear in George Washington as the first president of the United States.
Okay.
And I got to say, I had a little tear in my eye. So I hope you all had a nice 4th.
Yeah.
And had time to celebrate and celebrate the independence of our great nation.
You celebrate with some hot dogs and hamburgers.
That's right.
And probably some watermelon.
Some beers.
And baked beans. Yep, some beers.
Beers, responsibly, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Mixed with responsible use of fireworks, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
You want to keep all fingers and appendages.
Oh, I did that backwards. I did it this way, showing my bent finger. Chris can edit that out.
We're live. Oh man, I can't edit that. See, you took it dark. I was just trying to keep it light, and Ben's like doing the.
I don't know where the camera is. Apparently,
102 episodes in, I still dealing with this guy.
Well, at least we've got
here,
this.
Man.
We can point the right direction now.
We can. Anyway,
we're giving away some tickets on today's show.
We are. Yes. I mean, Lancaster Connects, I think episode 100 was definitely the turning point. We have leveled up the show. We got an amazing guest here for you today. We're going to level up the prizes here for the next handful of weeks. So we're giving away our first set of tickets to one lucky veteran and one lucky hero.
Mm-hmm.
They each get a pair of tickets to the August 26th Party Grouse Stop at Hollywood Casino in Granville. And we probably should start saying Hollywood Casino in Granville.
Yes.
Because in my travels and journeys, the last week I passed a couple Hollywood casinos.
There's a Hollywood Casino in Morgantown.
And there's one in York.
Mm. Oh.
But this show is in Granville.
Yeah, Granville. Yep.
All right. So that's that. You get to watch all of this fun on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. We live stream it there. We love for people to comment. We love for people to share. Normally comments get you in for prizes, but while we have the amazing gift that Brett Michaels gave all of our watchers and viewers, gave us 10 pairs of tickets for veterans and 10 pairs of tickets for heroes. We're going to be giving those away. You can get all the contest details when you go to lancasterconnects.com/contest. And then from there, if you would like to nominate a veteran or you are a veteran and you'd like to nominate yourself, that's okay. That's a little wrinkle. That's allowed.
Totally fine.
Perfectly allowed. But we know people around here are real nice and they like to kind of push forward their friends and their veterans and their heroes. So we thought the nominate angle was nice. So, but if you are a veteran or you are a local hero, being fire, police, EMT, Brett's he uses that term loosely. If you're somebody giving back to society, like a teacher, he even made reference to electrical linemen. So when the power goes out, like hopefully you got your power back from the rainstorms yesterday.
A lot of rain.
They keep it going. And I think he likes them because they've probably saved a couple concerts for him, I would guess, over the years.
Over 40 years worth of
40 years of concerts, not having to refund a few shows a year is probably a big boom to the bottom line. So
yep.
All the contest details are there on lancasterconnects.com/contest. And what you're seeing on the screen this is the cool part. So you put the photo up, like, as Chris, our wonderful producer, scrolls. Let's kind of pause here. So we've got 3 veterans there on the screen, Mary Ellen, Evelyn, and David. They were all nominated by their friends or family, or maybe they put themselves in. And again, that's perfectly fine. But you upload that photo and the details, and then you get to share it. And the tickets we'll be giving away by random prize-a-later wheel spin at the end of the show. But the VIP experience that Brett gave us to give away,
One for each.
one lucky veteran and one lucky hero, that's going to be determined by the amount of shares that each one of these nominees gets.
Votes on the photo. Yeah.
Yes, votes.
Yeah. So you can share it on social media.
So you can
to
see,
get votes.
as we maybe scroll up, like Jamie has 99.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's one with 149 votes.
There's 149.
Yeah, I think that's our current winner or not current winner, current leader for the veteran contest.
And so, but no purchase necessary here. You just follow the prompts, LancasterConnects.com/contest. Click, submit. And it's pretty simple.
Yep.
And
there's no limit to how many times you can share it. You can share it hourly if you want to, share it daily for sure. And there's, the only limitation for voting is you're only allowed to vote for one photo per 24 hours.
Yeah.
So you can come back as a voter, you can come back every day and vote for your photos.
So if you really want that VIP experience, set a calendar reminder, an alarm in your phone, a Post-it note on your fridge, however you got to do it. But that's available to everybody. So go do it.
Yep. LancasterConnects.com/contest.
That's right. So I'm excited to give away our first sets of tickets.
Be cool.
Like we did all this work, and I commented to Ben, like, I think this is going to be something. I think people are going to like it. But, you just never know how things are going to, the world's a busy place.
Yep. And as evidenced by the photo pages, we've got a lot of entries.
But Central PA's got some love for the Party Ground Tour and Brett Michaels and
for their veterans and heroes.
That's right. Which is the most important thing out of all of this. So LancasterConnects.com/contest. Go there, follow along, nominate your veteran or hero, and we'll take care of the rest. And good luck. All right.
I think it's time for our guest.
Without too much further ado, this is pretty cool. Tracey Jones, welcome to the show. Hi, Tracey.
Hi, gents. How you doing?
Good. Yeah. So in leading up to this, prior to our show, I did a little research and I realized I have your father's book, his original book, Life is Tremendous. When was that published?
1967. Here you go. 1967, it first came out. It's never gone out of print, which is very unusual because books go out of print when there's not a demand. So still in print. And after they've been in print and haven't gone out of print over 50 years, they call them the seminal thinkers, which means they kind of go into the canon of where it all started. So pretty proud about that.
That is really cool. Wild. Seminal thinkers. I'm going to write that down.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about your father, and the role he played in your life. Tell us about who he was and then your upbringing with him. And then of course you continuing on his legacy. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure, Ben. Well, grew up, in Camp Hill, Pennsylvania, but my father was originally from the South, from Alabama. So Southern gentleman. And as he said, he moved up north. He married a Yankee woman and had Yankee babies. So he was a true Southern gentleman, those of you that knew him. And he flunked out of school in the 8th grade. He was born in 27. So he was around as a young person during the Great Depression and was the oldest of 5 and just grew up really in poverty, but always told me he never had any idea how poor they were, like a lot of that from that generation. And so he just had this incredible sense of resilience. Those of you that know him, he had this incredible sense of enthusiasm and he took work up. He followed his father up here. His father went to Alaska to work on the Alaskan pipeline. And my dad followed him there after he flunked out of school, just to work. Because back then, even if you didn't have a job, you worked at finding a job because it was the Great Depression.
So 8th or 9th grade age, your father treks to Alaska.
Treks to Alaska with my dad. Right. Goes up there, works. And then, stays there for a couple years, comes back, winds up in Pennsylvania, in Lancaster to be exact. And he crashed a Franklin and Marshall prom. And my father worked at where the convention center was. There was a men's clothier store there. And so my father was always very well appointed, loved looking sharp. And so he crashed a Franklin Marshall prom and he met my mother, Gloria, there. And 13 weeks later, they eloped. So here he was. He found Gloria and then he went into the life insurance industry, Mutual New York. So he found a business that he just adored and loved. And with anything in sales, the more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it. So he was a natural born salesman. And because he came from nothing and he understood the value of taking care of your loved one, he loved the life insurance industry. And then he became a Christian. And so Jim Shelley jumped in his car in Lancaster and Charles was going to sell him a life insurance policy. And Jim Shelley sold him eternal life insurance policy. So he came to Lancaster. He found my mother. He found the industry and he connected with Christian businessmen, CBMC. And so they really mentored him. So he found the love of his life, the work of his life, which he poured into until he went out into speaking and teaching and motivating and writing. And then, he's just an unabashed man of faith. So growing up with him, as you can imagine, there was a lot of thumb sucking and complaining. You know what I'm saying? He was very driven and positive, but man, was he disciplined. And because he came from tough times, I tell people it was like a cross between boot camp and a sitcom. Okay. So like we're 5 years old at the table and he's like, okay, what do you want to do with your life? And I'm like, I just want to make it to first grade kind of thing. So, and like reading books. I think I read How to Win Friends and Influence People and did a book report when I was like 7. Most kids are reading The Pokey Little Puppy, but he's like, no. You should start reading personal development now because the sooner you read it, the more tremendous your life is going to be. So he was just resilient. He never complained and he always let us know everything bad that happens to you is to make you a stronger person. And that's a biblical principle too. So we kind of grew up with this, work and fun is kind of the interwoven, but you should love what you do. And you should always be working hard and fail off and fail early because that's how you become a more empathetic, a stronger and a more wise person. So, it bugged me to no end as a kid because he was really strict and he was very strange. Like he took all the TVs out of the house when we were in high school. And this was like in the late 70s when there wasn't even trash on it. But he's like, no. You get a job, you can play sports, you can volunteer, or you can read books. These are your choices, but you're not going to watch that crap on TV. And so, I was like, the inhumanity. But man, I'm glad now. He really helped us. And then when we were 18, he's like, you're on your own. Go live your life. But up until then, he really kept a focus on us and it annoyed me to no end. But looking back, I'm so thankful because if he didn't do that, I tell people I'd probably be living in a van down by the river. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
To quote the other great personal development expert,
Matt Foley.
I was just, my brain was working between the Matt Foley and
Chris Farley.
Yeah. Geez. I was just melting.
Oh, and somebody said here, Watt and
Thank you for having my back there, sir.
Amos said in the notes, Watt and Shand was the name of the store. That's where he worked and where he loved. And he was always a very sharp. And Tom James, those of you that go to Tom James, the clothier, he always spoke to them and they still buy our books. And so, Charles always looked the part.
Yeah. Yeah.
You unpacked a ton there, Tracey, and we're going to dig into some of that. But like, I'm just wondering, like, how do you crash a prom? Like wedding crashers, right?
Then, so 2017, he was born in 27. So it was like early 40s. He just did. I think you just
went there.
You just show up and my mom didn't go to school there either. So, I think it was open to the public.
Okay.
And,
he showed up and
he went up to her and that was it. That was awesome. It. They were smitten and, he didn't have any money. He couldn't afford a ring and she didn't tell her parents. The Burkharts, Sam and Elizabeth Burkhart, because here's this guy. But she was just smitten over him. And he would always say, marriage is not about compatibility. It's about commitment. So they just committed to, that was it. Through good, bad, through rich or through poor, sickness and health. They did it. That's
a pretty amazing story. Yeah. And thanks for sharing all about your childhood and the rules he had in place and we have teenage kids now. Each have a child who's a teenager, and the screens are a big thing, right? Screens are a big deal. So to even back then take a screen away, for an entire period of time in your teenage years, that's a big deal. Mm-hmm. That's so cool. So tell us about, I'm curious about the word tremendous. Like, where did that come from? Like, it seems like that was his word, his catchphrase.
That is his word. Well, it's funny. And he talks about that in the book, Life is Tremendous. And he said in the book, he says the reason he got the nickname Charlie Tremendous Jones is not just for the title of the book, but he said, I was an 8th grade dropout and I had a very limited vocabulary. And he said, when somebody would say, hey, Charlie, we just had a new baby, he'd say, tremendous. Hey, Charlie, I just got promoted at work. Tremendous. Hey, Charlie, my mother-in-law just died. Tremendous. He had a lot of mother-in-law jokes, kids these days, they don't get it. But back then, mother-in-law jokes were big, really funny. So he said he got the name tremendous due to a limited vocabulary, and people would laugh at that. But his point behind it was, be careful of the word that you always use, because that could stick and become your nickname. So he would just say everything was tremendous, even if it wasn't. Just in saying that, let people know that enthusiasm is a choice, and you can be miserable, or you can be happy, miserable. It's your choice. And so the tremendous just stuck with him.
In earlier in our time, you had said about how Life is Tremendous is one of those now seminal thinker books, 50 plus years in print. It would seem to me that your father, Charlie, would probably really would love it if some of his lessons in his book would get into our high schools and middle schools on the concept of failing faster. Because the thread, and maybe we'll talk about this for a minute, because this episode is a little different, right? Where you're from Lancaster, you got a story about Lancaster, but you help people in Lancaster and obviously around and outside. And we'll talk about how your experiences have taken far and wide, and now you're back here at home. But I think for our community, there's a common thread. If you've got teenagers, and I've got 2 of them, one of them, my oldest, we really struggled throughout school. It's a story I've shared publicly, so I'm not sharing anything I shouldn't. My youngest is our good student. But the thread in schools now is that it's okay to fail. You can take a test 5 times. You can get your homework in so long as it's in by the time I have to grade it. This concept of failing is a negative today for our young people that are learning. And I personally feel that's very wrong. I think we need to teach kids how to fail, what to learn from failing, and how to do it faster to get to success. Can you expand on that?
Well, absolutely. And my father would tell me that. He said, Tracey, as you grow up, the quickest way to success is to cram 50 years of failure into 15. And so I always remember that. And I thought, okay, I sold books door to door with Southwestern. I went to military schools. I took jobs. I just said yes to everything because I thought I need these experiences, because these experiences, they give you seasoning and they give you wisdom and they give you keys to open future doors. And even if you make a mistake, Ben and Jeff, we don't learn from our successes. We learn from our failures. Now, I don't like to fail. Okay. And kids will be like, well, I'm just going to not put my work into it. That's not what we're talking about. But I mean, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm not going to worry about the outcome. I'm going to control what I can control, which is my performance and my preparation. I can't control the final outcome. Just like the Bret Michaels tickets. However much I may want them, I don't know who's going to get them, but I can do so much within my power. And then I just let go of the rest. So
once every 24
what's that?
Once every 24 hours, you can share that contest.
Exactly. But that takes discipline and that takes work. So there's a difference between failing because you were unprepared or you were lazy and failing because you did your very best. And when you do your best, and his point was, certain opportunities are only going to come around once in life. Don't miss out on them because you have a lack of self-esteem or you're like, I don't know if I know how to do that. Just say yes. You'll figure it out. Especially now when you have Google, my gosh, I could build a space shuttle in my backyard if you gave me enough space, time, and resources. We can figure anything out. And that was his point. Just say yes, because there's so many people that'll be like, I don't want to. They're either risk averse or they're lazy. And he's just like, life is won. A tremendous life is achieved by experiences, not successes, but really the more experiences you have. And the beauty of failures is failures give you 2 to 3 times the experiences that successes do. So he'd just be like, get out there and push the envelope.
Mm-hmm.
And at the very least, we don't start from the beginning. We start from experience. So I always had a very healthy attitude with failure as long as I did my best. And I also understood that every failure in it had the seed of something greater in it. So I'd be like, okay, well, that didn't work out. That hurts. That stings. But there's something in there that I can take and be more stronger or wiser or resilient and evolve out of that. And that's, I don't care if you are Adam and Eve or you're in the future 10 million years from now. I mean, that's a constant in life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Love all of that. Love all of it.
You're, Tracey, the Tremendous brand is a brand you now operate, right?
Correct.
How did you work with your father while he was still alive? And how did that become a thing, you working with your father and carrying on his legacy?
Well, Ben, thank you for asking that, because a lot of people will say, because it's a second generation business, what about the succession planning? And I'm like, there are certain family businesses where they're really good about that. That was not us. I was off doing my own thing. At 17, I graduated from Cumberland Valley in 81, and I'm just like, I'm out of here. I'm out of Central PA. I want to see the world. And so I did see the world. So I was aware of what my father was doing in a periphery, like he would travel overseas, someplace when I was stationed in Germany or Turkey or someplace. And then I'd see him back when I was at the Air Force Academy. He'd show up and speak to the football team, to fish or to berry. So I was aware of what he was doing, but I was doing my own thing because he always told me, Tracey, you have to earn your stripes. You can't live in my shadow. And I was always very thankful for that, because he let me know his accomplishments were his accomplishments. I had to go carve my own way and make my own name. So, he went off and doing that. And in the back of my mind, as he's getting sick, when he was 70, so he passed in 2008, 15 years ago. So 1998, we found out that he had advanced cancer. And I remember thinking, just in the back of my mind, okay, but he lived another 10 years because, he was so robust, and he's like, no way. But he eventually, it caught up with him, as cancer does. And I remember I went to a National Speakers Association event just to represent. I wasn't speaking. I mean, I was in Fortune 100 companies. I worked for the government. I worked for the National Security Agency. So I was in vastly different field than coaching, publishing, creative spaces. I mean, I'm an engineer by trade, so I'm in technical fields. And I remember just so many people were there leaving him notes because he was too weak. And I remember thinking, man, I'm going to come back and I'm just going to make sure that his legacy is protected and secure before I go back into defense contracting again. And I told him about 2 days before he passed, I was coming back, and he just squeezed my hand, and he had a little tear in his eye. And he said, Tracey, I know you'll take it places I never could. Guys, that is the extent of our succession planning. That was it. And so a lot of people, and I thought for a minute, isn't he going to ask me to come back? Isn't he going to ask me? And I thought about it months later. I thought he couldn't, because he knew it had to be my decision. And what daughter with her father on his deathbed, if he said, would you come back? Of course I'd say yes. Even if my heart wasn't in it, I would say yes, because I would feel an obligation. But he knew enough. You guys know about running your small business. Boy, if it isn't your baby, if it isn't your labor of love, if it isn't your covenant, man, you're going to be like, why did I ever tell him that I would come back and do this?
Yeah.
So that was it. And then he actually was gone for 3 months, and then I came back in January. So we never worked together. And I'm going to tell you one other thing for our listeners out there. He and I are so much alike, but so absolutely diametrically coded differently. The few times I would come back from time to time when I was transitioning in between careers, it was it was not smooth sailing, because we probably were too much alike. And he was the founder, but I was an operations person. So it was best that I waited until he was ready to do a complete relinquishment of the reins. And that's when I came back. And that's why I tell people with second generation businesses, it's tough because you still have the founder there, and you have to respect them because they birthed this thing. But then you're waiting for them to let go, and it's tough. It's tough if they're still there. So that was it. So I tell people, don't stress too much about the succession planning. If it's meant to happen and this is what you want, it's going to happen.
I'm sure he would be quite proud of what you've done
Thank you.
with his tremendous brand.
Yeah. And I think, your father, Charlie, was very focused and very intentional about his words because he knew the power of them, right? Even a man with limited vocabulary. And so that statement, take it places I could never take it, I think wasn't maybe verbatim, but was, you'll take it places I never could.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the more profound things he could have ever said. Because it's that challenge to you, right?
It was. And the hope that he saw it even, and you guys, we're all small business owners, there are days when you're like, dear Lord. I mean, I've been at this 15 years and there are times where I'm like, what about that tipping point? Didn't Malcolm Gladwell or somebody say 10,000 hours? Well, that's 5 years. So, we all get these days where we're like, is this ever going to happen? And if it didn't happen, should it happen? Should I go back and work for somebody? So, those words, as you said, Jeff, there are times where that really gives me such encouragement to go, nope, he saw it. I may not see it just yet, but it really is good. And the power of words that superseded being back, working under his wing for years and years. And the other beauty was coming back. I got to go through cases and volumes and volumes and libraries of his writings and book. And I got to know him in a way that I never did. Because remember, I left home at 17. So I knew him. I knew he was this successful guy. I knew he was kind of, I wanted to go earn my own stripes. But coming back and seeing all his writings and things like that, I really got to know him in a way that I never did before. So I was so thankful that I still get to see his words and learn more about him.
Yeah. Very, very cool.
It's cool.
So you've authored nearly a dozen books, which is very cool.
Thank you.
Funny how we're put in places we're meant to be in the moment it's meant to happen. Because I'm in the middle of authoring my own book right now. And
Awesome.
In full transparency, I don't know if I dropped the ball last week. I had an opportunity. I planned to launch it on July 19th. I've now pushed that back because it just didn't feel, I had all that it could be in it to make it great. And I was struggling with that for a few days. And so I just kind of sat with that. And now today we're back on the plan. And, so I'm sharing it here. Ben overheard it today. It doesn't matter because it's my date and it'll be, it'll happen and it'll happen at the right time. But kudos
Absolutely.
to authoring a dozen books because and we've authored 2 together here because we kind of are thought leaders in our own niche and we do some coaching into our industry here. But a dozen books, I mean,
it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Walk our listeners and watchers through that because I think everybody's kind of got a book in them. A lot of people think they don't have experience. They don't think they're smart. They don't think that they got a story to tell. But we're one of one in a population of 8 billion people.
Mm-hmm.
There's 8 billion stories out there. So tell us about some of the stories you've written about.
Well, thank you. And back to your point, one of Charles's things was, as well as a speaker, where he really became known for is as a publisher. And then he'd publish these guys' book and he'd get it out there because his thought was, if you go through something and you don't share it, that's very selfish because you were meant to go through something to be an encouragement or an inspiration to somebody else. And yes, that's great if you go and speak, but unless somebody heard you, they may miss out on the opportunity. Now it's different now because, people can get online, but a book. I mean, we read books thousands and thousands. I'm in the Bible every day. Thousands and thousands of years ago, I'm still reading the words. Mm-hmm. So he really let people know that. So I come back and I'm publishing books. We still publish at least a book a month. And I and people are like, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. And I'm like, I don't need to write a book. There's so much good stuff already out there. So I had a dog, Mr. Blue, my first dog, Mr. Blue, Chief Motivational Hound. And I thought, I'm going to write a leadership book, True Blue Leadership, the top 10 tricks from the Chief Motivational Hound. And I'm going to write it from the persona of the dog. Work like a dog. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. There you go. That's Mr. Blue. He's the one that started it all. And because I would put on social media, I'd put these leadership things that I've learned from running people and, whatever. crickets, like leadership, whatever. Everybody, it's not really what people were looking for. But I put a picture of Mr. Blue up and say, Mr. Blue snipped out a great title and everybody would like it. So I'm like, yeah, I get this, whatever sells. Animals, animals and babies.
Big time.
So Mr. Blue wrote the book. He was my first book. And then somebody said, hey, there's a dog on it. Is that for children? And I said, no, it's not. It's for, young people and adults. And I thought, but why can't Don't Bite the Hand That Feeds You, Work Like a Dog, dealing with life's vacuum cleaners, why can't that be for kids? So then I took that and I made that into a children's book, From Underdog to Wonder Dog. And then I got my second Australian Shepherd, Ruby, who was she was crazy. She was a rescue and she had so much baggage. And so then Ruby and I wrote Saucy Aussie Living, the top 10 ways to get a second leash on life. And then it just went from there. And then I wrote, so 7 out of my 12 books are dog centric. Roscoe the Rascal, No Roscoe is for preschoolers. That's ages 2 to 4. And again, it's all about listening to the rules. Okay. There's some adults that could probably read that book and get a lot out of it. And so then I wrote, Beyond Tremendous, which is really, it's a 4-year compilation of my 400-word blogs. And I tell people that, well, I can never sit down and write a book. Sure, you could. Do you blog? Yeah. I bet you got 20,000 words already written. So That's what Beyond Tremendous was. And then I wrote A Message to Millennials. You guys talk about your teenagers. And that really is taking the 7 laws of leadership from Life is Tremendous. And what I studied in my dissertation was how to be a good follower. Because what I teach young people is the type of follower you are today will determine the type of leader you're going to be tomorrow. And if kids will say, well, no, it's my way or the highway, I tell them, you're never going to lead. Because at the heart of leadership is followership. And so, so it just kind of, and I just adopted 2 Australian Shepherd puppies. So they've got books in the work. And I have another one coming out for my father's 15th anniversary of homegoing and all that good stuff. So lots of books. And we publish a lot of books and we do a lot of children's books too. But typically they are all, we just had, there they are. Tanzanite Ruby. We just had, and am I getting anything done other than staring at them? No, not a lot. But we just had a book come out, Tales from Tibet, Leadership Lessons for Young Lives. Philip Mart wrote that, and that is the Boy Scout leadership and character develop lessons. And so every time we use animals as an inspiration, it is always about character development. We publish Boxcar Indigo's to Doggy World, and we partner with PSECU, Members First, Belco, AmeriChoice. We partner with credit unions to teach young children financial literacy. So, Tremendous Life Books and Tremendous Leadership, if it gives you a more tremendous life, we'll publish it.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. And on the note of publishing a book, our wonderful producer, Chris at Cast Ahead, who does all things podcasting and podcasting production and getting your show out there. He makes us look great. Our guests get to show up. They look great because their stuff is shown on screen and it's in the show notes. But it doesn't have to be as grand per se as what we do. You can start with a podcast. You can start with a book. I mean, we all have our phones in our pockets where you can, speak out something. So if you're not good at writing, you can speak it out. You now have an app called these AI apps that you could take that text that you spoke out and say, rephrase and rewrite this better. And so I would just challenge everybody out there because I'm going through this process now. And Tracey, you've helped, sounds like hundreds of people, publish their own books.
Yes.
If you've got something to share, don't let the heft of it all, overwhelm you and not do it.
Right. Well, Jeff, you're about to birth your book. Okay. So I tell people, writing a book is poetry and plumbing. So there's the inspiration, but then writing a book is it's project management. It's A to B. It's very mechanical. And the other thing is, just as a new author coming out, the other thing I tell people, you may find a mistake or you may go, oh, I needed to do that different. Now with Amazon and KDP and digital files, You don't have to print 10,000 copies with a typo in it anymore.
Yeah.
I just, at any given time, I'm like, wait a minute. I misquoted that source, or I spelled that word wrong. Pull the files right down and put them right back up. And I go with my authors and I'm like, so it's always a work in progress. There's always things that you may want to tweak and change. You just pull the files down and then you put them right back up. And especially now with Amazon and KDP and print on demand, it's real time. So anything you get up there, but I love the fact that you said, Jeff, hey, you just felt like maybe it wasn't right. Wait, you'll know it's right. There's a difference between wanting it to be your best effort and analysis paralysis. I kind of help authors get through analysis paralysis. But it is scary putting your words out there. Yeah. That's why I let the dog write the book, because nobody's going to poo-poo a book written by a dog. Only a horrible person would say that's a bad book.
That's right. Yeah. He's going to trap Blue.
Them and cat people.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. You might get some of those cat people.
I did get some hate from but then I put out a book by Professor Orange, Prince William Orange, my cat. So I'm cool. It's
there
all
you
cool.
Go.
Okay. Yeah.
Tracey, what, you have a mission statement. What is it? And how is it being translated in your books and through your other efforts with the Tremendous Leadership brand?
Well, it really is to change the world one book at a time. And there is a school of psychology called bibliotherapy. Of course, biblio is the root word for book, and therapy. And what it is basically, I tell people, read 2 books and call me next week. So much of the time we are stuck in our own minds or in our own heartache or heartbreak because we're fixated. We're looking inward. And people would come to my dad. I watched this throughout the years, and they'd come in and they'd be broken, a divorce, an illness. They lost their business. Their kid got in jail, and they'd come in and they'd just be crying. And Charles would just say to them, go to my bookshelf and just pick a book. Just pick a book that catches your eye. And they'd pick a book and he'd say, sit down. And he would tell them to read aloud to him, for both of them, for 20 minutes. That's it. He wasn't giving them advisement. He wasn't giving them counsel. And every time after 20 minutes, they would look up at him and say, how did you know that's what I needed? So just the act of getting out of your own, frustration and anger, those are all self-imposed emotions. Problems are real, but we cannot ruminate that negative stinking thinking. And when you cast your eyes on a book and you start reading something positive and uplifting, it breaks that cycle, the power of thought. And you get out of that and you say, I'm out of it. I'm going to have my 30-second pity party, but we're done with that. So that really is telling people, his seminal statement was, you will be the same person that you are 5 years from now that you are today, except for 2 things, the people you meet and the books you read. So if you want to grow old tremendously, hang around great people and read great books. And that's why I love this podcast, because you are connecting people that wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet. And then we're talking about great books. So that's and whenever I meet somebody and they're like, oh, my life's terrible, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, who you hanging out with? Oh, nobody. I don't have anybody. Nobody likes me. I'm going to eat worms, And what are you reading? Nothing. Watching trash on Netflix. I'm like, your mind is this vacuum. And the more trash you put in, the more trash you put out. You got to be very conscientious about this fabulous thing that we have within us. But that takes work and discipline. And we let people learn. I just published a gentleman's book, Dr. Roland Hughes, Choices, his first book. Are you guys ready? At 92 years young. And so all his life wisdom. Okay. I'm publishing people's books in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And it is so exciting because that's when they really got the wisdom of the ages. And they're there and boy, eat it up. I love reading the new stuff, but I love reading from people that have a good couple decades on me because I need to know what's to come. And so that's really what we're continuing to do.
So we're going to put you on the spot here. Because really what we're talking about is the art and the action of personal development. Right. And so, Charlie was was in, I would say, the generation 1 group of those folks. Today people have heard of Tony Robbins and, there's any other number of people out there on social media, but I think it's always important to go to the bedrock of any topic, subject, issue, and get source material. So I would definitely put Charlie in that bedrock of source material on the topic. So on personal development, putting you on the spot, what are some things that people can work on and do? You've talked about discipline. We've talked about habit. Let's expand on that as we look to maybe wrap up our time together.
Absolutely. Well, I would absolutely make a habit out of reading. I would also, my habit, my day, and I'm pretty disciplined about it. Wasn't always. And there are times when I fall into a slump and get a little off track. Start your day in a time of whether it's a devotional, meditation, a quiet time, centering. Okay. I get in and I read 5 Psalms and 1 Proverbs every day. That gets me through Psalms and Proverbs 12 times a year. It just gets me centered. And you can't believe how much Proverbs talks about business. In my opinion, it's one of the greatest leadership books of all time. And then I'll get hit with something and I'm like, hey, I just read about that in Proverbs. I would make sure throughout the day that you are really focused on the people, the conversations that are value added. And that means you're going to have to abandon a lot of stuff that you like and want to think about and start doing the things that you need to do, the habits. So you got to be really a taskmaster with yourself. You got to figure out who you are. You got to figure out what you want. And then you'll know what resources you need to get there. But so many people have not taken the time to really find out. Like when I came back, I really had to sit there and say, I know I'm my father's daughter, but I'm not him. So I really have to unpack who is Tracey and what is Tracey going to bring to this table? Keep the DNA, but I am not him. And then what is my calling? What am I put here on this earth to do? Because every day, you guys know it. Oh, do a podcast, do a speakers bureau, do this, do that. And I'm like, I could start a new project every day, but you really got to maintain focus. And then you'll know who to go to as far as, Chris helping you with this fabulous podcast, the person helping you publish your book. Then it all falls into place. Yep. But most people, the problems in their life are going to originate from one of 2 problems. They don't know exactly what they want, or they know what they want, but they don't know how to get it. And 80% of the people is they haven't really taken the time to figure out what they want. Because once you know what you want, especially in South Central PA, we're in like the Mecca for people helping people. I mean, I've lived all over the world. I've been in the military where we would take a bullet for each other. Okay. But there's something about this area with the connectedness and the resources. There's wealth, there's connections, there's people that have ideas, there's mastermind groups. So you have to figure out though first what it is exactly that you want. So books will help you read that. Books will help you podcast. And then write down not what you heard somebody say, but what you thought as a result of what you said. And when the time is right, if you put the effort in, your faith will become real in the works and the habits that you do.
That was a masterclass.
Love it. Love it. Love all of it.
Thank you.
Tracey, what are the best ways to connect with you? Obviously, there's your website, social platforms, and whatnot. What are the best ways to start digesting your tremendous stuff and connect with you?
Oh, thank you, Ben. Well, if you sign up at Tremendous Leadership, you get like 3 free downloads of the ebooks. We have these wonderful little booklets. Okay. There's one of my dad's speeches. Ooh, here's one on patent. That's a good one. Okay. Here are the 3 decisions. My father said there's only 3 decisions in life you have to make. So get on the website, tremendousleadership.com, sign up for our newsletter. And we have a couple emails that go out every week. Our Leaders on Leadership podcast, where we interview leaders on what it takes to pay the price of leadership. We also have our new releases. But you can send me an email. It comes to our global headquarters in Enola, Pennsylvania, and I will answer it directly. And also, I love LinkedIn. I love connecting on LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is a very robust and powerful platform. We're on social media too, but also get on YouTube, get on Tremendous Life Books, because I have all my father's archive stuff there, all digitized. He was funny. He was hysterical. If you need a joke for a speech, you need something to make you laugh or cry or a book recommendation, get on our YouTube channels, Tremendous Leadership and Tremendous Life Books. And I would love to connect with you.
That's awesome.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, we have a little segment we do here on the show called Connection Cocktail. And we thought we'd do a little bit of a left turn for your questions this time around. So I hope that's okay.
Sure.
It's not like you have a choice.
Yeah,
I hope so.
She's here. She's doing what we
I'll tell you in a couple minutes.
We're just going to, I guess you could just click end and you're gone if you don't like it. But I don't think that wouldn't be a very tremendous thing.
Good one. Good one.
You're right.
So
I hope.
I'll turn it over to Ben to lead it all.
All right. So, Tracey, what is one surprising fact that we don't know about you? or our listeners don't know?
Oh, well, I was talking about this. Some people may know this. I'm pretty much an open book. You guys know what a Star Wars fan I am. I just went to an 80s party on Saturday. I am an 80s fanatic. And I actually have, I had about 20 outfits I had to make a decision from. So I keep all my fun 80s clothes. Many people would not realize that.
And well, what did you pick? You said you can only 1 of 20. What did you pick?
did. Well, I have my punk rocker 80s. I have my Adam Ann. I have my Susie. I have my Duran Duran. I have my Cyndi Lauper kind of 80s. I have my Southwestern 80s. I went Dynasty. I went like Joan Crawford, shoulder pads out to here, black wig. Yeah, it was awesome.
That's great. That's cool.
Very cool. Very cool. So, if you had a do-over, what part of your life would you like to relive?
That's deep.
If I had a do-over, I would probably, let me think. I would probably redo high school and be more focused. I really would. I mean, and it was Cumberland Valley was a great education. We had great friends. But I wish I would have known then that the things that I was doing I did catch up. Okay. Eventually, but I really wish I would have taken high school more seriously.
Yeah. Okay. That's a great thought process. Cause a lot of times, high school, every little deal seems like the biggest deal. And in the grand scheme of life, it's not, but you don't realize that until much later.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Thanks for sharing that. So you spent a little bit of time here in Lancaster. And of course, your father has some roots here as well. Can you describe Lancaster for us in one word?
Eden. I think if we didn't know that the Garden of Eden was not over in the Middle East, I tell you, I think Lancaster, Pennsylvania is the Garden of Eden. I think there is nothing more beautiful, faith-filled, entrepreneur, 4 seasons. It's sheer perfection. And I can't believe I left at 17, but at 45, I was like, and I have lived all over the world. I've lived all over the world. And I come back and I look around and I'm just like, South Central Pennsylvania is the most gorgeous, opportunity-filled area of all.
That's really cool.
There you go.
So Eden, it is Eden.
There you go,
Birthplace,
Lancaster.
everything. Yeah.
Little bit of a wake-up call there. A little bit of tap on the back of the head. You're living in Eden, Lancaster. So
yes, you are. So act like it. Yes.
So says Tracey Jones.
Springs of life and opportunity. Yes.
Love it.
That's really
Love
cool.
it. Tracey, this has been a pleasure. I talked with you in a pre-show about having you work with some of my friends and one of the groups that I work with and help lead. I'm going to make another introduction to another friend who I think you'll really enjoy. And that's what the show is about making connections. John, Tyler, Amos, thank you for your comments throughout the show. We appreciate you tuning in for sure. Thank you. Thank you for your time today. Really appreciate it.
And John, I have 3 cats too. So I have one right at my feet. So I love them both. Yeah.
I have 2 dogs and 3 cats too, but
all right.
I'm not afraid to say it. I prefer the dogs all day, every day. I could take or leave the cats, but everybody else in the house likes the cats. So I lose. But anyhow,
I hear you.
No matter what you like, hopefully you like Lancaster Connects and you like our guests that we have on. Tracey, thank you for stopping by. We appreciate you. And thanks for your time today.
You're welcome. What an honor, guys. Thank you so much for allowing me to share your tremendous platform.
You're welcome. Thanks. All right. Well, if you want to be a guest, an amazing guest like Tracey, and you have something to share with the community, how you're helping the community, how you can help the community, ways that your family has impacted the community, which I think all kind of wraps up Tracey.
Yeah.
But go to LancasterConnects.com/guest and we'll get started. We're actually, I don't know, maybe I'm jumping the gun here. Did we update the site about
Not quite yet.
the
I'll do
news
that
thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep checking back the site because there's going to be some new things on there. And maybe you don't want to be on the show. Maybe you just want to have us share some news about your business or about your charity or about things that your business is doing in the county. And maybe you're not a fit to be a guest, but we can certainly share your news. Well, we're going to be adding that to the site where you'll be able to submit that. in a real streamlined way. And we'll be able to read it off and share. Maybe you got a store opening. Maybe you're offering a new service. Maybe there's a new part of the community your charity can serve. And you just want to get that out as opposed to being on the show. We're going to have that avenue and vehicle for you. So that's going to be hitting the site here this week. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely.
Too much pressure?
Oh, no. Probably by midweek.
The perils of going live.
Yeah. Events are a great thing to share on there. I just got a notification that Schreiber Pediatric has their the rubber ducky race.
Oh, yeah.
That's, I think it was September 10th, maybe it said, but that's like a perfect thing that we could share on this show. So,
yeah, I mean, I get a ton of emails and I've got a stack of mail. And it just dawned on me, like, we need to formalize a way for people to share this information. And we do this show every week, and we know that people tune in and they listen and they watch and they rewatch. So what a great way to get that out. So you can share your news here soon with us. More on that is upcoming weeks. Right now, if you want to be a guest, LancasterConnects.com/guest. We do prizes each week on the show. This week, soon, we're going to give away our first pair of tickets to both a veteran and a hero.
I think some of our commenters are patiently waiting for our giveaway.
Well, we're going to get all 59 minutes out of you. No, just kidding. We're getting there soon. My Sleep Better tip will mail you the Sleep Better book. You go to gardnersmattressandmore.com/sleep-better. So I've gotten into this bad habit of using my phone in bed.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrible. Really, really, really bad. And it's bad. I know it's affected my sleep. And so don't do that. Don't be like me. It's bad.
You know, it's funny. I was doing it last night, laying in bed, and Amelia and Lindsay were watching a TV show, and they came up to bed later. And Amelia walked into the room, saw me on the phone, and said, "You know, you shouldn't be doing that."
You got scolded.
I got scolded by the almost 14-year-old. So
yeah,
that's when you know.
Well, she knows. She read the book.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did.
And so that's the tip. And if you want more great tips like that, we'll send it to you. gardnersmattressandmore.com/sleep-better. We'll mail you out a copy for free.
All right. Testimonial time. Gardner's Mattress and More. These four walls, with which we sit in. A nice little handwritten testimonial that came in. We give our customers a little baggie of stuff on delivery and some feedback forms, and we always get mailed ones back. So this one came in from Gail recently. She had an excellent experience with Gardners. Her friend Cheryl told her about Gardners. And during the sales process, she wasn't sure. This happens actually often. She wasn't sure if her bed frame, which was a full-size frame, could be converted. Actually, I should just read it. Just want to be sure I say it right.
Just read the words that are right in front of you.
She wasn't sure if her bed frame could be changed to full. So I think she had a queen. Wasn't sure if she could change it to full. So we offered to just go out to her house and check it out. Likely one of our guys, either on the way to the store or on the way home, stopped by her house, took a look at the frame, made some recommendations, and we determined that it was a queen, and she went with the queen size, and we helped her with a new price because she was looking at full size. But she said, excellent service by all, with 3 underlines underneath it. So thank you to Gail. Thanks for that testimonial. But we do that sort of thing all the time before money is acted. We want to make sure we're getting the right thing, and our customers love that.
Yeah. And listen, those are the kinds of things. It's always good to support a local business. We need to earn your business like anybody else would, but we're always, I think, put us head to head. We're going to go over and above. Yep. And I don't know about you, Ben, but that was the first time I heard about that.
Yeah.
So it cycled all the way through the ecosystem of somebody coming in, phoning in, visiting, to the action happening, the sale being affected, and then the feedback coming back to us. And that's the difference here, is that you've got all of our team vested and interested in making sure that this is the very best experience you can have for your home. That's our goal, not just against other mattress stores. It's about whatever you're going to buy for in, on, or around your home. We want this to be the very best 5-star experience. That's our mission. Yeah. And so always cool to see stuff like that. You know, I said 59 minutes. We're at 56 minutes. I think it is time.
It is time. Fire up those prize wheels.
With bated breath. We have 2 prize wheels.
Should we do the veteran one first?
Sure.
Yeah. There are a number of entries, and this is at LancasterConnects.com/contest, and you'll see buttons for veterans and heroes. All you got to do is go in there, nominate by adding a photo, putting your information in there, submitting, and then soliciting for votes. But of course, anybody that enters gets entered into this prize, which we're giving away 2 tickets today to a veteran and to a hero, and then multiple tickets every week through the
August
first
14th.
week of August. Yeah. So, first live spin. Here we go.
Right? Yeah. Let's spin it.
So this is our first veteran winner, and it is Mr. Manny Acuna.
Acuna.
Yeah.
Yep. Congratulations, Manny.
It's awesome.
That's cool. So Manny, you've won. And so, I'm pretty sure it's in our contest rules. Once you win, you're out of the contest for the random tickets.
Yep.
Of course, Manny, who's ever nominated you, if that's yourself or someone else, if you nominated Manny or you are Manny, and you continue to share your post, you're still in for that VIP experience. All right. That's what's kind of cool about this. So congratulations, Manny. Very happy for you. We'll be in touch on how to get you your tickets. So thank you and congratulations. And let's fire up the
hero.
This is like a double dose. I feel like we should amp up the energy. We got 2 prize spins.
Not as many entries in the hero contest, but that'll change.
It'll change. Yep.
Looks like we've got Elaine Barrett.
Yeah. The wheel. Okay. Yeah.
It could go around.
It might have had a little kick. It might have had a little extra kick, but it didn't.
It seems reliable.
It was reliable. So Elaine Barrett, congratulations. You won the hero. So again, pair of tickets for Elaine, a pair of tickets for Manny. We will be in touch to get those to you. And I'm actually going to write that down before we forget. And
we have it in video form.
We do. But I like, me. Yeah. I like paper and pen. And
yes,
so
thank you, Tyler, for your comment. Good luck to everybody. Like I said, just because you didn't win today, if you were in the contest,
you're still
in it for next week and the week after and the week after. So that was 2 sets of tickets. We still have 18 sets of tickets to give away. So there's plenty of opportunity and plenty of chances.
That's right. And again, you go, if you're interested in winning, want to learn how the contest works, lancasterconnects.com/contest. That's where you go. That's where you start. And then you just follow the buttons. If you're a veteran, nominating a veteran, or if you're a hero or somebody nominating a hero, just look along and it's real easy. Real simple stuff. Yep. So that was fun.
That's it.
We've got it. We did it. We're underway for the Bret Michaels Party Gras ticket giveaway, which is for the show at Hollywood Casino in Granville on August 26th. Bret Michaels' homecoming tour stop for Party Gras. He's very, very proud of it. Very proud of his efforts. He's put on one heck of a shindig, as he would say.
Yeah, shindig. Yeah.
And you could catch
experience, he said.
Yep. And I'm sure it will, because the guy loves his hometown and genuinely does. And you can check it out on the 100th episode. Go on our YouTube channel to check that out. You can listen to it. And we did a replay of it last week as well on episode 101. But you'll get the fever, you'll get the pulse, you'll get the spirit of what is going to happen on August 26th. And listen, if you just want to buy tickets, please, by all means, you go to livenation.com. You can buy tickets there. But thank you to Bret for having these tickets for us to give to Elaine and to Manny. Congratulations again.
I've had a few people see me within the last couple of weeks. They're like, did that really happen? Like, yeah, go watch the episode.
Well,
he was really there.
What's so interesting is I listened to podcasts on my way into the store.
Okay.
A very famous podcaster has a parallel podcast now in the AI universe. So, and they made no bones about it. It didn't really happen. It was all fictional. It was an AI conversation between host and guest. But I guarantee you, and we got the emails and the text messages to prove it. That was very much Bret Michaels on the phone.
It was very much Bret Michaels.
Yep. And so we didn't AI it because we're still figuring that out over here.
I think his team would shut it down.
Probably. But yeah, it happened. And it's going to continue to happen. 18 more sets of tickets to give away.
Yep.
LancasterConnects.com/contest is where you go. good luck to everybody else that remains. Share out those entries because that's what gets you in for the awarding of the VIP experiences on August 14th. All the details, lancasterconnects.com/contest. And we'll see you next week. Till the next connection.